there, everybody. It is Dr. Devin, and it is time for another episode of If They Knew. I can't wait. I love these conversations because I never know what's going to come up, but I know that on the other side of the conversation, there is a healthier me, a happier me, a more whole version of me, because you never know what spending a few minutes in conversation with another person, another warrior, another bright-souled human can do to take your life, your love, your experience in this grand adventure to the next level. So if you're ready, it's go time. Hey everybody, it is Dr. Devin. I am super excited and wildly grateful to host someone I didn't know a lot about a year ago. And then since then, I have just completely fallen in love. I've gotten to visit the farm. I've gotten to see his leadership, his vision for what humanity's capable of. And really, like when they called you the lunatic farmer, I'm like, man, this is what the world needs more of. Everybody, please welcome Joel from Polyface Farm to If They Knew.
Thank you. It's great to be with you, Devin.
Now, tell for the people out there that might have been like me who don't know you yet, but are going to fall in love with you just like I did. Tell us who you are and where you're at and what you're up to.
Sure. So our family co-owns Polyface Farm here in Virginia's Shenandoah Valley. This valley is 100 miles long and 20 miles wide, historically known as the breadbasket of the Confederacy. And lots of grain was grown here, it was kind of the tall grass prairie of the East. There were, massive herds of bison and elk and deer and turkey and passenger pigeons here. And it was, of course, maintained with fire by the Native Americans and of course, wolves were here. And, so when we came to the farm in 1961, I was just 4 years old. By that time, after European occupancy, it had eroded 5 to 8 feet of topsoil had eroded, and it was a rock pile with gullies as deep as 16 foot deep gullies and rocks where nothing grew, not even weeds, nothing. And so we set about to heal this piece of land. And my grandfather, Dad's dad, was an early subscriber to Rodale's Organic Gardening and Farming magazine. In fact, he was a charter subscriber when it first came out in like 1949, whatever. My dad was an economist he flew in the Navy in World War II, survived, got home, and on the GI Bill got his degree in business administration. So he was a pencil pusher. He knew how to run margins and keep the finances, and he always viewed chemical agriculture like a drug addiction. It was a mouse wheel. You had to buy more. It had to be more a stronger dose to get the same kick. That treadmill idea. And so we looked at this place and said, well, how do we heal it? And we looked at nature and looked at the templates of nature, and we saw, all areas have animals. Animals move. It's based on primarily perennials and not annuals. The soil is built with in situ carbon, not 10 chemical imports. And the and there's a lot of complex relational symbiosis among plants and animals, not monocultures and single things. And the economy is primarily local. Things don't move that far. And so with that kind of basic template in mind, we launched, and here we are. 60 years later. Dad's passed away, but we still have 4 generations on the farm. Mom she'll be 98 in December, and so she's still here. Teresa and I, our son and daughter-in-law Sherry, basically run day-to-day operations. Our grandchildren all have their enterprises: ducks, sheep, chickens, and we service about 10,000 families. Several dozen restaurants. We have a staff of about 20 to 22 people, and there aren't any rocks. The gullies are covered up with trees or filled in with ponds. and it's arguably gone from the armpit of the community to the emerald of the community, which is just object lesson of redemptive capacity that our earth has. The earth is not a reluctant partner that we have to wrestle and strangle into submission. It's actually a benevolent lover to be caressed in the right places. And that's a beautiful picture of healing.
If the whole world could heal and really feel and see the full picture of that, because you weren't playing it, your family wasn't playing a short game here, right? Like, I'm going to plant this and then tomorrow I'm going to make money. It's like, how can we heal this piece of land? And we're looking 3 generations later, 60 years later, 10,000 family. Like, when you see the grand vision, do you think our culture has gotten real short-sighted, instant gratification versus?
Absolutely. In fact, I had a very interesting conversation with a biomass guy from Austria. He and I were speaking at a biomass conference in DC, and we had lunch together. And of course, I've been to Europe many times. Europe, the Black Forest of Germany, Europe is known for its forestry, very extremely good forestry management and production, and ours is notoriously horrible, and here in America. And so I asked him, I said, so what's the difference? Why are forests managed so well in Europe and not in here in the US? And I was expecting some academic, great silvicultural explanation. Boy, without even batting an eye, he just said, royalty. I said, royalty? What does royalty have to do with it? He said, the average tree in Europe is owned by the same person for 800 years. In the United States, the average tree is owned by the same person for 40 years. And when you're talking about trees, you can't get a long-term sustainable plan when you're rotating every 40 years. So yes, you're exactly right. We're in for the long haul. And but what's amazing is I'm getting toward geezerhood, but I'm not that old. And the joy of my life has been, I remember as a child what this place looked like. Yeah. And to have that level of abundant healing occur in something as seemingly a long haul as a landscape, to see it change that much in my lifetime is probably one of the most hopeful things that you can ever imagine. It's quite profound.
And so I think we could talk for hours, because when you just unpack your intro, right, there's 100 different things we could talk about. And if I said, Joel, what have you learned over the last, since you were 4 years old? There's a lot, but I bet there's a few staple things. And I got to hear you when I came out for Holistic Hilda's event. I got to hear you share. I know there's a couple of fundamental truths that you anchor into. And if we could just like blink and humanity would wake up really understanding what's one of those big idea, what's the one thing that now more than ever you wish more people knew about life that would make this planet a healthier, happier place to live?
For me, I think it is the idea that you can participate in healing or hurting. Essentially, every decision we make either moves us toward healing, or it moves us toward hurting, or destruction, or whatever you want to call it. It either builds or it destroys. And to me, that's an ultimate. So many people feel disempowered, and to actually, when people ask me, what floats your boat? What floats my boat is to be able to walk out the back door every morning, walk into this nest, and know that my hands, my feet, my intellect can participate in healing. That's an incredibly empowering thing.
And so from because where I'm from the heartland, I'm from Kansas. A lot of my practice members and family and friends that will listen to this, they farm. right? So if you could, I think it's so important to like pay that moment or moments of gratitude to what farmers do. How has it changed, or how could it change farming in general if they walked in and looked at this as healing instead of, like, I know you've talked about chemicals and,
Right.
yeah. How's this changed the game?
Yeah. Yeah, I think in the greater, if we could boil the kind of the culture's paradigm, worldview, agriculturally down, it would be essentially a, this will sound really mean, but kind of a conquistador mentality. It's there. We come and we take what we can.
Right.
So it's in general an exploitive. There are resources here for us to use, as opposed to, my view is, the resources are here for us to nurture and to increase. So as a result of me being here, there should be more soil, not less soil. The aquifers should hold more water, not less water. The air should be more breathable, not less breathable. There should be more species diversity, not less species diversity. You can go on down the line, but you see where I am. That the commons is for us to to encourage and leave a legacy that's more. We'll just say in general that's more than what it was. Not more bushels of corn at the expense of soil.
Right.
Not more bushels of soybeans at the expense of soil. I'm all about efficiency. Let's produce plenty, but let's not produce it when there's a negative side of that equation.
And there's a way to do both. I mean, when I came to the farm, I ate well. The meals that you guys prepared, we got to visit the pigs and the chickens and got to, see there is a way to live abundantly, to produce abundantly, and work with nature instead of against it, and to, like you said, give into the ground. And that changes everything. I mean, when you look
at
it
does. There's an interesting study that's been done. I read about it in the Economist magazine just lately, where they went back 10 years in the British Parliament, and somebody counted the number of times the word resilience or resilient was used versus the words efficient or efficiency. And in the last and they put it on a graph, and in the last 10 years, the words efficient and efficiency have dropped by half, and the use of resilient or resilience has doubled. There's roughly a 400% increase. And so so often people challenge me saying, well, we can't feed the world your way, we can't really do. And my response is, well, they're wrong. I mean, we can feed the world this way, but even beyond that, if you even thought that, well, we have to destroy the water or destroy the soil on our way there, that's not an option. It's not an option to destroy the planet or destroy our health on the way to efficiency. And so resiliency is really, resiliency has to come before efficiency.
And I heard you talk about that. One of the things you were talking about, pesticides and herbicides, and side means what?
It means death.
It means death. Yeah. And so we're using all of, can you go there for a second? And then I'm going to pick your brain on some tips and tools, but you shared that in a way of more death has never equaled more life, right? We can't use something that kills to generate more life. It won't work that way.
Right. Well, and only life can give life. And of course we know that decomposition is the conversion of life into another form that can regenerate into something else. I mean, that's the beauty of a compost pile. You put a bunch of grass and weeds and manure in it, and out come microbes and fertility. Voila. And so the idea of 10 10 10, 10 10 10 chemical fertilizer, there's no sex in that bag. There's no life in that bag. And so ultimately we're trying to produce life out of something that's never lived. And that is simply not it's not an ecological equation that works.
No. And you might get some pretty flowers, but I hosted someone that talked about, at what the expense of the bees, so then you kill off it just one decision. I love that you made it so simple in saying we're either healing or we're hurting. And the depth of experience and wisdom is immeasurable. But I asked you if you could pick 3 things in a practical manner that you do to keep yourself healthy and happy. What are 3 things that have been game changers for you that you would suggest more people look into?
Sure. Well, the first one is don't eat junk food. You will not find Coca-Cola, Sprite, Mountain Dew, a bunch of taco chips and Hot Pockets and ravioli, canned SpaghettiOs. Heat and eat frozen, right? Don't eat junk food. And in fact, I travel a lot, and when I travel, I might indulge in an ice cream cone in an airport, but I do not eat. I mean, I go sometimes, 36 hours or better and don't. It's junk. It doesn't appeal to me.
And there's no excuse for that. And it feeds back to what you said of it has to have life to give life. And those junk foods that you named off, there's no life in that food.
No. When you can squeeze cheese on your plate and leave it for a year and it doesn't even get mold, there's no life there. You want cheese. If you put it on your table at room temperature in about 3 days, it's so moldy it walks off the table. That's life.
Yeah. Good stuff.
That's life. So
no junk food.
So don't eat junk food. Number two, get outside and move. Fortunately, as a farmer, I am able to be outside a lot. But I don't do a lot of tractor work. We have purposely got these animals on pasture. We move them around. So I'm making electric fence and doing a lot of things out, not on a tractor. A lot of farmers actually live a pretty sedentary life just sitting in a tractor cab. And so I'm running a chainsaw. We're making chips, carbon, blah, blah, blah. So, out in the sun, get out in the sun, sweat and move, work up a good sweat, for half an hour a day. That's a good thing.
And how young are you, Joel?
I'm 64.
64. And so that's not an age dependent thing, right? Do you feel like it generates more energy and resiliency within you to get out there and get the body moving?
Yeah, absolutely. I can tell it pretty quick if I'm, got a big project. I'm stuck here at the desk for 2 or 3 days. Man, I just get, I got to get out and get moving and get some sun on my.
I was at a conference. Dr. Mercola was sharing that across the board with the patients that have really struggled with COVID, all of their vitamin D was just awful. So when you look at the quarantine and the isolation and, that lack of sunshine, so that is pretty solid advice, movement, and sunshine. What's number 3 for you?
Number 3, I would say, is to consciously ingest or put myself in a position to get variety on my skin, in my body. That may be, getting a carrot out of the garden and not washing it off, eat a little bit of that dirt. It might be, picking up a water hose, at the cows, and I've some manure on it. I get manure on my hands. Those who know me know that I routinely drink. I drink from the trough with the cows. The cows are drinking on their end. I go to the other end and I just get down and drink with the cows. That is a conscious, purposeful effort to get, to get variety and things into my body, to build my microbiome and give me a lot of to exercise my immune system, for one thing, just to exercise my immune system. So whether it's rubbing on a cow, going up with the pigs and letting them snoodle my hands a little bit, I'll gather eggs and then come in and eat an apple without washing my hands. This is not just negligence. It's conscious. It's conscious work to touch myself with soil, with unprocessed stuff.
Now, so for the people out there that maybe didn't grow up like you did and have been raised in the mentality that it's hand sanitizer and hand wash, because it's both, right? Like but how would you suggest, or what would you say to them to be able to face the fear that they've probably been instilled with, right? Because I'm with you. This is such an important conversation when it comes to health. Building the microbiome instead of tearing it down and trying to kill everything off. How do we get back in that right relationship with nature? But how do they face the fear?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think you have to understand that there is fragility in sterility. Now, there are places that you want sterile. Look, if you're in surgery, you want sterile. I mean, all right, let's not just be silly about this. But as far as our the hygiene hypothesis, in the book Guns, Germs, and Steel, one of the things that made the ascendant cultures was cultures that had proximity to domestic livestock. And in fact, now we're seeing all sorts of studies. I think the main ones are coming out of Finland, where they're showing the immune systems of babies that are out in the dairy barn, while mom and dad are milking the cows, compared to babies raised in the city. And the immunological function is truly amazing. So as you start down, so the first thing is to realize, I'm too sterile. I need a complexity. I need complexity, microbial complexity in my being. Okay, that's the first thing. Well then here's the problem though. If you have been fairly sterile and you dive into this too fast, you can get sick. You can get really sick with a different thing. So for example, raw milk. I mean, we drink raw milk, and we encourage people who buy into what we're saying. Look, don't go and guzzle a glass. Right. Take a teaspoon a day for 2 days, and then raise it to a tablespoon a day for 2 days. And you at the end of 2 weeks, you can drink a cup, and you build yourself up.
Because for years, if not decades, we've tore the microbiome down.
Yes.
Right. This is a rebuilding process. And as this crazy ride of coronavirus and all of it is the ship is turning, people are you can't just 180, right? It is slow, like kind of turning that one step at a time. And it is creating harmony between the germ theory and the terrain theory. And we're going to have to, you grew up in this, but not all of us have. And so common sense needs to be alive and well.
Yeah. Well, we're not machines. We're not interchangeable parts. You can't say, well, my transmission isn't working, so let's just stick in a new transmission. Biological systems have their own journey of healing, and they don't break down overnight, and they don't get fixed overnight. And so we're not machines, and so you got to be gentle and sensible about this, and take it incrementally as you start making these adjustments.
And so for the people out there that maybe they've faced a healing crisis, or they've been sick, maybe they have a child that they're waking up to these new ideas, and they understand they got a long haul ahead of them, or maybe it's just humanity in general, and we understand we got a mess on our hands as humanity right now, right? It's messy,
right.
And we've got some work to do. What message of hope, as you've gotten to witness decades of an unfolding journey, what message of hope in a time of chaos can you offer out to humanity, Joel?
Yeah, my message of hope is to invest in the alternative universe. And I'm not being woo-woo and mysterious here. I'm just saying to realize that the orthodox paradigm of our culture, the narrative that's on CNN, MSNBC, the mainstream, the bureaucracy, the Dr. Fauci's, whatever, Bill Gates, that the World Economic Forum, that narrative, that basic global narrative is leading us into a bad place. Mm-hmm. And so all of us need to be investing. We need to invest in relationships. We need to patronize businesses and other things. I call it building our own parallel universe. We need to quit patronizing and investing in the things that are creating more dysfunction. Find the stuff that functions. Find the stuff that speaks to your heart, that makes intuitive sense. We're not stupid. We're not dumb. And so trust in yourself, trust in your gut. And I don't mean, your gut, but also your instinct, what makes sense. And then continue to put time, energy, money, into that, investing in that alternative tribe, universe, whatever.
And it feels overwhelming, and it's like you said, one choice at a time. We're either creating healing or hurting. We're either participating in what's not working, or we're building something that's going to work. I mean, when you're grandpa, I imagine back in the day, you have to have a pretty creative imagination to see what was there, but believe in what could be. Right?
Well, that's exactly right. And, we're actually not, we have plenty of resources. We actually have enough time. Our weak link is, my son Daniel says it's constipation of imagination. And, our problem is between our ears. And so look, if you don't like what you see, then invest in something different. If you don't like the public school, find a pod school, pull your kids out. If you don't like the way medicine is going, find an alternative practitioner, a functional, an acupuncturist, a chiropractor. Do something. If you don't like the way you feel after eating, well, how about eating something different? I mean, they're also basic. And yet routine, we just get stuck in. We love routine. We don't like change, and especially in diet and health things. And I'm just the message of hope is that when you make a change and find it rewarding, you start looking around for everything else. My favorite story on this, if I could just spend 20 seconds telling you this story. My favorite story is there was a farmer near us. He was a dairy farmer, and we met up at a social function and started talking to his wife. And she was lamenting. She was in charge of raising the little baby calves. And in a dairy, they take the calf away from the cow so the farmer can get the milk, right? And so I told them about the New Zealand vacuum nipples. I don't want to go into all the detail here, but basically it's a completely different kind of designed nipple so that a dairy calf can nurse more like what would be nursing a cow. And it makes a bunch of bubbles and foam around their mouth, which helps their digestion, all this stuff. Anyway, I told them about it. Well, they bought these nipples. I saw them about 3 months later. The wife just came up to me, enveloped me in a hug and said, "You've changed my life. The calves are healthy. We don't have vet bills anymore. It's unbelievable." And then the farmer walked over. He was a little bit slower than his wife. He walked over and said, "Okay, all right, we got that. Now what's the next step?" And what I'm suggesting, and here was a family with three kids. None of the kids wanted anything to do with the farm. Within 2 years, they were making money, switched to pasture-based organic, and and two of the boys wanted to come back to the farm full time. That one little item of positiveness, the little different New Zealand calf nipples set in a domino effect that ended up moving their whole family legacy and trajectory to a completely different place. Mm-hmm. And so I encourage people, you don't have to jump off a cliff. Just take one thing that you've been intimidated or fearful about changing. Change that. And if you wake up if you wake up one morning and say, "Wow, that was a really positive change. I wonder what else I could do," that snowballs into other things that you can do in your life that will be, different and move.
And that's it. You hit the nail on the head where it's purposefully, I think, been created that it feels so overwhelming right now, right? By generating constant overwhelm, it can make a person feel helpless, but you're never helpless. You always get to choose how you move your body, how you get sun, what you put in and on your body. And this episode is that in motion, right? It's like yes, the world's really screwed up. It kind of has been for a while. So it's going to take a little while, but we will bring life back to the system by each of us making one choice at a time, one habit change at a time. Now, I'm dreaming of the retreat that I'm going to get to put on out there in Polyface. I know I'm coming back to Polyface. I know you guys host stuff. I also I'm hoping I get to bring you here for one of our events. Tell people that are resonating with everything you're saying and they want more Joel and Polyface in their lives. How do they stay connected to you?
Well, the quickest way is our website, Polyface Farms. If you just type in POLYF, by the time you get to POLY, it'll probably just pop up. Polyface Farms. We have a very comprehensive website with everything from you can order food to link up. I do a blog, Musings of the Lunatic Farmer, and my speaking schedule, all these things, and our basic mission statement, value system, pictures, that sort of thing. Anyway, it's a pretty comprehensive website, and that's the best way to keep. I don't have a personal website. I'm not smart enough to do a personal website, so I just exist. I exist through the farm. And
it's teamwork out there. I mean, getting to share meals with your what do you call them? Your students, your
stewards. Yeah. Our stewards.
The way they spoke about their experience, and these kids, I'll call them kids, are from all over the country coming to get to live this lifestyle with you. It's beautiful and inspiring to see, like, you're creating it where you're at, but it will also send ripples out into the world, right? You've got a vision for where you go. Last question I got to ask. Where did Lunatic Farmer, like why Lunatic?
Well, one of the things that people like you often don't realize, they think that our farming community, and I'm being very tender here. I don't want to be judgmental, but our farming community they don't like us. They don't appreciate us. They actually think that our unvaccinated cows are going to get sick and make their cows sick, or our outdoor chickens are going to rub beaks with a red-winged blackbird that's got a disease and going to make their chickens sick in their Tyson chicken house. And so we are a pariah in the the conventional agriculture community. We don't picket, we don't write nasty notes, we don't our neighbors, our farm neighbors are salt of the earth. I say I would trust them with my bank account, I would trust them with my granddaughter. I just don't trust them with my food or the land. And so anyway, once we began the Farm Bureau Federation, the main conventional outfits would call us Typhoid Mary, and I've been called bioterrorist to my face. And so I decided, look, I can either be frustrated and depressed about this, or I can have fun with it. And I decided, well, let's have fun with it. So I said, yep, I'm the lunatic. Yep, that's me. I'm the lunatic. And it turned what would otherwise be, depressing and frustrating and a constant sense of whatever, anger and vengeance. Instead, now it's hilarious. I laugh about it. Yep, I'm the lunatic. Let's talk about lunatic farming.
I'm so glad that I asked, because that is a spoonful of medicine that we all need. And chances are, if you're watching or listening to this podcast, then you're one of the freedom fighters. You're one of the people that has left the mainstream. Chances are, if you're listening, you're a lunatic. So we can get frustrated, and we can fight, and we can live a life of war, or we can live a life of joy. We can live a life of harmony, and we can bring more people to our lunatic party. So I'm all for it. I'm lunatic chiropractor now. I'm going with it because we believe in what could be. And so I am so grateful for this time with you, Joel. And I'm super excited for what kind of creations we can dream up for 2022. Guys, I'm going to make sure you get all of the links. And I hope that as you were listening to the vision that his family brought to life of legacy and where they'll be three generations from now, and that you take responsibility, that every choice you make today with your food, with what you listen to, with what social media you engage or don't engage, you're either healing or hurting. And so stand in that, cut the junk food, get out and move your body, and consciously go get dirty. Go eat a little dirt today, just a teaspoon. So, right. I love you all. I'll get more links to you, but thank you for your time with us today. And Joel, sending you a big hug, and I hope I get to see you soon.
Likewise. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
guys. Well, all right. So what's the one thing? What's the one thing that just lit up for you in this episode of If They Knew? Because it is one thing to listen or watch or feel your way through these conversations, and it is a whole different thing to grab a hold of something and turn it into action. It is a whole different thing to fire it and wire it and use it to create the health, to create the happiness, to create the life that you know is possible for you. And that's my highest hope here, my friends. So what's the one thing? What's the one thing you learned that you didn't know? What's the one thing that you can take and apply right here, right now? And maybe it's not for you. Maybe the reason that you tuned in today is so that you could share it on to somebody else. Maybe there's a friend or a family member or a coworker, and throughout this episode you thought, she needs to hear this, or, oh my gosh, this would really help him. Share it, right? That is how we weave together this tapestry of light and hope and power and potential beyond our wildest dreams, because we have a choice in how we engage in these wild times, my friends. And for me, I choose healing. I choose growing. I choose thriving. I choose the light. And you must too, or you wouldn't be here. So I hope that I get to meet you and hug you and see you at the Big Idea 2022. So make sure you check the description to mark your calendars for that. And yeah, if you can't wait till April of 2022 and you want to come play with a community like this, like the episode you just got to watch, then you need to join Shine. That is the community space, the playground, the training ground that we have created. If you want to be a part of a revolution of the light workers, the truth seekers that take responsibility for their health, that step into the if it is to be, it's up to me mentality and grit, well, Shine is for you. So I'm here for you. I love you. I can't wait till the next episode. Please, if you have any requests or I can support you in any way, engage in the comments, shoot me a message. This is it, y'all. This is the time. We were born for such a time as this. I love you. I'll see you soon.